Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Beneath Vancouver Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are on episode number 42, the second episode of 2021 and the second episode of season 2. That's right. We've officially made it into seasons now. I felt like starting off the new year, 2021, leaving all the stuff that happened in 2020 behind, and we're going to start afresh here, season 2 of Beneath Vancouver Radio. So thank you for taking the time on tuning in for today's episode. And the special guest that I have here today is Josh from Frontrvnners, a local streetwear company based out of here in Vancouver, British Columbia, of course. Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show today. How are you doing, my man?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. It's we've known each other for quite a little bit over a couple years now, I think.
Yeah, a couple years at least, yeah.
Couple years. Had the pleasure to obviously do some work with you as well this past summer, and I've learned a lot from you, and you're a staple in the Vancouver scene. So I'm humbled to have you on this show and this podcast, and I'm sure you're going to share a lot of good pieces of knowledge here on the show. So thank you again, and I'd like to kind of just jump straight into it as I do for all the other episodes. Josh, who are you today?
Yeah, man. Today I am who I was. I don't know. It's just when I look at myself, I think I still feel like I'm that 17-year-old kid or like 14-year-old kid in like Hayward, California, that was just determined to get out. Didn't have that much money. I guess you would say kind of like poor by like financial standards, but rich when it came to like love.
Right.
My family. That's one thing I did not lack in, and I think that's why I just have this very content and not seeking too much validation demeanor about me. It's because I always had more than enough love in my life, but the money wasn't always there. So that's where the business side, the hunger for business really came in. So that's definitely who I am. Just Joshua, the kid from Hayward, poor financially, but rich in love. And that's worth more than money to me.
I love that, man. Off to a great start so far, but let's break it down a little bit. Obviously, you're from the Bay Area. When did you move out here to Vancouver?
Yeah, I moved out here in August of 2013 on a partial football scholarship to Simon Fraser University. So yeah, I played 2 years there, and then they didn't take in all my new credits. So when I was done in 2014, I finished my communications degree, but then stayed a little longer to get a little bit more of a business degree, and then graduated from Simon Fraser in 2017.
Nice. Big football fan now? Still following the playoffs right now?
Passively. I don't really care about it as much. Once I got to college, man, it's so different than high school football, and I just looked at it as a vehicle. I'm gonna ride as long as I can to open as many doors as possible.
Right.
But now I don't really. I'm nowhere near as invested as I used to be. But I have my favorite team, like the Baltimore Ravens. They lost this weekend. It's all good. I'm used to it, I guess. But yeah, I don't really care for it as much as I used to. Definitely don't.
All right. Just wanted to ask that just in case. I've been not a big football fan myself, but I've been following a little bit, and I know that the Buccaneers upset the Saints this past weekend, right? So we'll see how that goes. But we're not here to talk about football. We're not a Barstool Sports podcast by any means. But let's chat a little bit. Obviously, with what's right behind you there, the Frontrvnners logo, very beautiful and hanging on the wall there. Let's chat a little bit about the birth of Frontrvnners. You started it while you were at SFU, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It started actually in Hayward, but I stopped.
Oh, okay. Actually did not know that.
Yeah. It started, it was like 3 other buddies that I went to high school with. And there was a brand in our city called Imperium, and it was pretty cool and everything. But me and my buddies, we were all into sneakers and streetwear, early, really early. And
before the Yeezy hype, guys, come on.
Before Nike SB Dunks first became hype, way before. That's late 1990s, early 2000s. And we saw it and we were just man, we can do something better than this. And I have been playing around with designs, just on my computer and stuff. And I was in the clothes and sneakers, so we're fuck, let's do it.
Why not?
Yeah, we all put in $130, pressed up 40 something t-shirts, and split it up 4 ways, and like I was able to sell out of like my portion in like a week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where it came. And uh it's interesting just because like when we like locked ourselves in a room and like we all wrote down like I think 10 names, and when it got narrowed down to like 4, like Frontrvnners was one of them, and we just took a vote, and like the 3 of them voted for Frontrvnners. I didn't vote for the name. But I was like, fuck it, man, what's wrong with it, fuck it. And then that's when like I kind of came up with the phrase of just like loyalty, initially royalty infinitely, which is just talking about putting the work now, root the business
Mm-hmm.
forever. Which is definitely my mindset then, and it's my mindset now. But
Yeah.
fast forward, I think even by like 6 to 8 months in, we were clashing too much as far as like opinions on direction with the brand, and
Mm-hmm.
they felt that people associated me with the brand more than them. And I don't know why. I guess maybe because I knew more people just because I was playing sports my
Yeah.
whole life.
You're the cool kid on the
I
block.
guess, yeah. They would call us like jocks, but like we were nothing like the jock shit. It's like we used to sit with like the special ed kids, we were like cool with everybody with them. You know what I mean? But yeah, they left it to me, and then they started their own brand. And
Oh
then
wow.
I took like about a little bit of a hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, like I'm still focusing on training and stuff, trying to get my scholarship. And then I think it was like 2013-ish, I came out with like 1 or 2 releases again. People bought them, which was cool, but nothing significant. Like I couldn't like do it full time. So it was like a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got my scholarship to SFU, and from there, like I put it on pause just to fully focus on the transition. And when I transferred, like SFU was just really hard, like especially compared to where I came from. So that and football full time, I couldn't manage. So I didn't do the brand for like 2 years, but I kept the Instagram running, like, just posting up old photos and stuff. And
Right.
when I finished up with my football eligibility in 2014, like that fall, I started like designing all over again after football season ended. And then 2015 started dropping stuff again.
Mm.
But pretty much, yeah, that's like as far as the Vancouver identity of Frontrvnners, that's really when it started.
Right. Are you still good friends with your buddies today?
I got like a couple of them on like Twitter and Facebook and like LinkedIn and stuff, but we don't really talk too much. Like I hung out with them a few times, but definitely like when it happened, it was like, I feel like a breakup. Like,
Yeah.
like we said it was no hard feelings, but you could tell there was some tension there.
Yeah. Sounds like my last breakup. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. And it's weird. Business is always like that. Like even if you like, these are my guys, or like we really like would hang out,
Yeah.
drink on the weekends and stuff, but yeah,
It's tough getting into business with your friends, right? Because you run that kind of risk. If things go astray, you're not just losing potentially the business relationship, but also the personal relationship as well.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, it was never the same. It definitely was never the same. And that's when I learned just a valuable lesson. Me and one of the guys, we were both designers, and that's where we clashed the most.
mm-hmm.
That's when I learned, like, when you build a team in the beginning, have collaborators, not people that do the same exact thing,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like a valuable lesson. And just looking at just the directions we all went in life, I think it was inevitable, though. We would have grew apart eventually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, some things, as all good things got to come to an end, as that saying goes, right? So you're obviously you're transitioning to a new country, a different environment, a new school. You're doing football, trying to get your life settled and figured out.
Yeah.
What was kind of the transition to when you kind of noticed that Frontrvnners could be more than just kind of like a side thing, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, maybe I'm going to put a little bit more time and energy into building the brand and stuff like that. What was that kind of aha moment, so to speak?
Yeah, it was like that first release, man, when it was like, yeah, people were just, they said yes when I asked them would they like support and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I was back home, we got like our stuff we got it in like an E40 music video. There was like a local like TV music show where they would play like music videos. We got like the host to wear it. So
Yeah.
like that's when I knew like, yeah, this could definitely be something. It's just at the time I just wasn't knowledgeable enough to really build it properly. Like I was, to be honest, I was more so at that point, like I was under the impression that if people like if you can appear as big and as cool as possible, then people will buy it, which is not true at all.
Yeah.
It's not true at all. And but luckily, like people were still buying it. Like I was living with my mom and stuff, and I was still paying I was able to pay for my stuff and everything. Still, it was affording me like my lifestyle definitely, but it was like if I had to move out on my own, like no, it wasn't netting
Mhm.
enough money. So yeah, I always knew. I definitely always knew. It was just more so like me gathering the knowledge to really scale it. That was one thing I just never really uh I never really channeled that knowledge until like probably 2019, 2020. Like I always had the vision, but I didn't actually know how to execute it in the context of front runners. But yeah, it was always the vision though.
Right. No, yeah, that sounds good. And I think for a lot of people, you want to be able to grow it, but sometimes you're just not sure how, right? You're missing that kind of key component and that puzzle piece, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
I did want to ask, and we chatted about this before we started recording, about kind of the differences, well, not so much the differences, but how Vancouver is as a city and everything. What was kind of the biggest shock to you, or yeah, something that's really surprised you when it comes to Vancouver, both maybe on a personal level, but also on like the business aspect?
Yeah, the first thing I noticed when I was designing, like in the Bay or in Cali, like it's a lot more flamboyant.
Mhm.
Like people like to show their materialistic things, and like even when it came to designs, like they like big prints and stuff like that, and
Right.
it's a very prideful area. Whereas here is like it's a lot more subtle flex going on.
Hmm.
There are flashy people, but they're flashy in different ways. They're not necessarily flashy with their clothes as much as far as like big prints, big graphic tee prints.
Yeah.
So
It's the small little logo that made the shirt cost
yeah, yeah,
$1,000.
yeah. They're definitely a lot more subtle, and definitely it's definitely a lot more high fashion centric.
Hmm.
And of course that just comes with like the income status and everything. But yeah, that was the first thing I noticed, and then I guess um for me, I had to actually like do that thing that I did in the beginning of like really manually messaging, reach out to people to get them to buy and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, like in the Bay Area, people would see that I had a brand or something, and then they would sometimes reach out once to see if people were wearing it. Whereas
Right.
here, I had to like really, really reach out to people in the beginning, like my teammates and stuff. Like, hey, bro, like, would you be down to support? Like, I can give you a deal, type stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, I thought it slowly would catch on, but it wasn't as big as it wasn't as domino effect in the Bay Area. Um,
Right.
it was a lot. I had to do a lot more groundwork and rub a lot more shoulders and like really, really like make sure like the cool people are wearing it and stuff. They weren't necessarily just supporting me because I was their friend. They were supporting me because like it was cool. And that
Yeah.
was definitely a difference. It's definitely in the Bay Area, but I say just more so here. It's just
Yeah.
more so here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think especially, I mean, looking back when you mentioned what it was, early 2015, around that kind of time frame where you're starting to kind of grow it a little bit more, and it definitely, Instagram and social media as a whole is not the beast that it is today, both I would say in a negative and in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot more work had to be done for sure now, or sorry, back then, than compared to potentially now, where you post a TikTok video, it goes viral, and next thing you know, you've got people going to your bio and everything like that, and
Yeah.
not everyone's going to buy, right? But at least you get the eyes for it.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely a lot different. You gotta like really, they're making you really put the money up now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Paid ads first, and then we'll talk.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's disgusting when I look at how much money I spend in ads, bro.
Yeah, that's it's a conversation for a different day. But yeah, I feel you on that one. It's definitely a different ballpark when it comes to the way that the content's distributed now. And yeah, definitely money first now. Money speaks when it comes to, I feel like, certain platforms. So
Yeah, that's like my biggest expense. Like it's damn near up there with inventory,
mhm.
not more than inventory as far as like ad spending.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the organic reach is shit now and all that.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
It doesn't
like nah,
exist.
man. You want people to see you gotta spend some money. So
Yeah.
but it's cool though, cause it's grown me to where I am able to do it full time,
Mm-hmm.
which is a blessing, definitely. But yeah,
That's
it's just the game. That's just a game now. Yeah, you
yeah.
pay to play.
You gotta adapt, as we said earlier. You gotta live and adapt.
Yeah,
You'd mentioned that you were doing designing growing up from your computer when you're back home at the Bay Area, and obviously you did communications in SFU, so there's some relationships there. What's kind of like I'm curious on the design process on certain things, because I've seen the brand grow for a little bit now, and the
Mhm.
designs that you guys are putting out and everything, and the stuff that you come up with, I'm just like, what's going on with like
Yeah,
Josh's mind? Like, how does he think of this stuff? Because it's so it's so cool.
yeah.
And I've always been curious as to, I think we've only had, I think one other, from the top of my head, I apologize if that's not the case. I think I've only had one other clothing kind of brand here on the podcast, and obviously everyone's different when it comes to the design. And as his brand, David Youth Brand, that's what it was called, or
Hmm.
that's what it is called, I should say, is more, again, athleisure, so it's a little bit different. And again, it's very subtle. Not a lot of logos. Kind of fits to the style that Vancouver is, so to speak.
Yeah,
But for your stuff, like I remember the first shirt that I got from you, the tiger one, like
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit's dope,
yeah.
right?
Appreciate
Like
it.
it's a style, and like people wear you, they look at you, they'll literally look at you and be like, "Yo, where'd you get your shirt from?" Because like people don't wear that kind of stuff here. It's different.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious to hear maybe like the design process. Maybe you don't have to give any industry
Oh,
secrets or anything, but
and, it's really really organic for me. That's why like I don't really drop like seasonal collections because it's more so like whenever inspiration hits me. But the basis of my design more on like the the qualitative side of it is more so like timeless, meaningful pieces that are like lessons in life.
Mhm.
Like no matter what year you read the message, like this is something that can help somebody reach the next level or keep them focused or inspire them to go further. And I try to make sure it's not corny shit though, because I my bad for my part of my language, but
No, it's all good, man. This is you're free to curse here.
yeah,
No sponsorships are saying no just yet.
yeah, no, it's just you see those shirts though, right? Where it's like those cliche messages where it's like,
Yeah,
it's like, man,
yeah.
no cool kids gonna fucking walk around with this, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was like the main thing. It's like, what are some moral and principles that like I really learned throughout my life and that I'm still learning that I know like this is timeless and it's like it's very hard to poke holes in this mindset
Hmm.
of stay loyal, you know what I mean, to your craft and everything. And loyalty makes family, you know what I mean? Like that's real shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it starts from there and like I will just write it down, like I'll keep a note like in like my apps and notes and then like I'll also like think about when I look at it, just what's like an image or something. And sometimes I can think of something right then and there, or sometimes like I'll just be browsing through like Pinterest or just like Google Images or something, and I'll see something that's like, oh fuck, that like matches.
Hmm.
But it's always the phrase first. Like it's rarely ever
Right.
the image first. And then I just think about like what's a powerful but like subtle and cool, stylish like graphic or something that somebody could wear this for a long time, you know what I mean, and that's in style now. So that's usually when like I tied together like an image that really fits the energy of the message. Um, and then I picture like I'll close my eyes or like really try and lock in like if somebody walked in the room wearing this design, like would I stop and like, oh shit, that's dope, I want to buy it. Or, like if I was in the store walking by it, they're like, oh shit, that's dope, I want to buy it. And if it doesn't pass that test, like I don't make it. Like probably have
Hmm.
hundreds or thousands of designs like that are just sitting because they didn't pass that test when I finished.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely what it is. And then of course, with like certain trends and everything, I may try stuff here and there. But it wasn't until like we did our pop up when I was doing a bunch of cut and sew stuff, and I looked at the end of the pop up. What sold the most, it was the graphic T-shirts,
Hmm.
and that's when like I just doubled down on that. Like I'm not doing as much cut and sew now. Like I will, but as far as like what people are actually buying and everything, not what they're saying is cool. They're actually like putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, exactly.
Graphic t-shirts and hoodies, like graphics. So I'm just sticking to that. But like my formula is like simple messaging, powerful image.
I like that, man.
Yeah, that's like that's if I could like simplify my recipe, that's what it is.
And that's what I feel like really boils down to is you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like the love that you got from your family and that you were never lacking that kind of stuff. And that's more or less what you carry forward to today and kind of what your mantra is almost really shows in your clothing. Right. So I think that's also why people resonate a lot more with it. And it's not just some guy trying to, think of like, oh yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, if it sells, oh, it doesn't sell. Okay, well, whatever. We'll go back to the drawing board. We'll try, the next step. Right? It's methodical. Right? It's a methodical way of thinking and approaching the design, and I think that's what people appreciate. At least that's what I think. Right? And I imagine that's why people buy it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like that's what it is because it's like even with when I was like when I started to, of course, do the whole competitive analysis and stuff like that of like who else is out there. And it's like the best way to stand out is just to really be yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let that spill over into whatever it is you're doing. And
right.
by that alone, you're already like unique. So yeah, that's really was my thing too. It was like just a way to just be different, but authentic in a way that can resonate with everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's why people might listen to this podcast because I'm so weird, right? So
yeah, it's interesting. Like it's mindsets. Like we share mindsets with so many people that we don't even realize, and I'm learning that that's actually why like more people support me who don't know me than people who do know me. Or, you know what I mean? Because it's a mindset. It's not a proximity thing.
Yeah, there's I don't know if it's a saying or if it's a quote, but I've always seen it. Your biggest supporters are the strangers in your life.
Yeah. So weird, man. It's weird, but I think that's the blessing with life. It allows you to constantly expand, meet new people, make new relationships. Yeah,
that's what it's about, man. I like that. The networking aspect is obviously super important, especially for a business like yourself and what you're doing. Which kind of leads me to the follow-up question that I have here. And I'm curious kind of your thoughts on this because this is more of a more analytical question when it comes to the actual marketing stuff that goes alongside with branding and everything. But what's your take on like influencer marketing? Because a lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. Obviously when it comes to streetwear, there's a lot of brands out there, or not even streetwear, but just clothing brands in general. They do a lot of the influencer stuff, but I'm curious, maybe just getting your thoughts on it, your successes, your failures.
You have to, it's definitely a key element today. That you have like a really killer, like referral program,
right?
Like offer to get people in. But if you don't, influencer marketing is, really what's grown my brand. The only thing that I really recommend to people is to really, really find a way to convert that. And for me, influencers are another customer segment in my business to where they're able to like, purchase, but I mean, they're able to be an influencer, but they're required to make like a minimum purchase. But with that, like I give them the benefits of a coupon and then a commissions code. And that's really been valuable. The only times it really hasn't been valuable is when you're giving away a bunch of inventory and there's no return on that investment. And it's very hit or miss nowadays. And most people, when they see like a clothing brand, they think, oh, just get it on the most famous person you know. And in reality, I've sold more shirts through groups of friends who weren't influencers or big influencers.
Like a micro influencer almost.
Yeah. Like a micro influencer or even whatever, like nano influencer. I think that's
whatever the term is.
And it's more so just with like people that are around like-minded people. There's a book called Grouped actually that taught me that, and it opened my eyes because I looked at the history of who supports who's like their best return on investment. It's been like friends who sees if somebody wearing it, like, yo, where'd you get that? You know what I mean? It hasn't been like when we had like Baca wear our jacket or when we had Roy Woods wear our jacket. Like, yeah, it looked cool, but it didn't convert to more than like 2 or 3 sales. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and I think that's the biggest misconception with like influencer marketing. People try and go after these unicorn influencers when they don't realize their audience are just, surveillancing them, but they're not really invested in them
Hmm.
as much as somebody is with their friend, a group of friends are with each other.
Right.
But yeah, influencer marketing, I feel like if you're trying to grow right now and you don't already have like a lot of eyes on you or a lot of relationships where you can actually get people to spend their money, which is a whole other conversation on how hard that is.
Yeah.
um, yeah, you
That's
got
another podcast episode right there.
yeah, man, you got to leverage influencer marketing, but find a way to cash in on it, even if you're making less than what you normally would make on a regular sale. Something is better than nothing, and it works better that way. It builds a relationship. Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's a great answer, and I appreciate you sharing that. The reason that I kind of brought that up is it's definitely starting to become a little bit of, as you mentioned, a little bit more difficult with, a lot of people now wanting to obviously be involved in one way or another as an influencer or as a content creator, whatever the term again is that we want to use, but it doesn't lead to any, ROI on the business
yeah,
side,
no,
right?
it doesn't. Yeah,
I've seen some examples, whether it be like online or on Reddit or whatever, where, let's say this person has like 1 million followers, but she only makes like 5 sales, right?
yeah.
So that's kind of just goes to show that, not everything is as it seems, right? You got to really be able to find the people that, as you said, can influence, but influence within their close circle, right? And the mindset, and that they share similar mindsets with the people that they surround themselves with. So
Yeah.
great advice.
To add on to that, yeah, like it's very important to influence consistently too.
Mm.
And I think that's the only time it really works with those big people. That's why, Nike
Yeah.
signed LeBron to a lifetime
Yeah.
contract,
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because that's the only time I see it work though with big influencers is if they're like loyal to this brand for like years, long term, and they're constantly announcing and pumping it into their audience's face.
Mhm.
That's the only time I've seen it like really be profitable. But
Right.
the one offs, it may like put like be a drop in the water, but it doesn't last. It definitely doesn't last.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. That's another thing to keep in mind when it comes to those kinds of things. Switching gears a little bit here, you've talked a lot about, you brought up the words mindset and, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and stuff like that. And you even brought up a great book that you read, Grouped is what it's called.
Yeah, it's called Grouped. I forgot the name of the author, but I'm pretty sure it's like the only book called Grouped.
Grouped.
Yeah, out there when you like search
When
Audible.
you search it on Audible, no
Yeah.
Audible sponsorship just yet. We're still waiting on that. Amazon, you hear me?
That'd be sick.
Jeff, you out there? But the question that I wanted to ask was, I'm curious to see if you have any other, pieces of literature, whether they be books, podcasts. I know you said you're a big podcast guy as well,
Yeah.
and stuff like that you might recommend for people that might be doing, similar things in your shoes, in the sense of, in the starting areas of a clothing brand, or even in a more established way, or people who just want to listen to want to hear a little bit more about the stuff that you listen to.
Yeah. To be honest, my favorite podcast for like educational purposes or like business growth is the Tim Ferriss podcast. Because he has like a very, very unique interview style where he forces people to be practical with what they're saying. Like it's not just one of those feel good things where somebody just inspires the hell out of you, but they don't give you no steps to follow. Like, he's big on like giving the steps and making it practical so the listeners can take away. Like he asks the right questions. So I would say Tim Ferriss definitely for like business. When it comes to like spirituality and stuff, the Oprah podcast is really good with that, and also Mind Valley is one. It's a bit of the practical and also the spiritual side that helps. And then for fun, for me, like my number one is definitely the Joe Budden podcast, and then for like just regular dialogue and kind of like it may sometimes transfer over into what I'm doing, like for as a career, is the TI podcast, and then I think I Am Athlete podcast that just like started airing with like the ex NFL players and stuff. But yeah, those are like the main outlets where it's like every week, if not every day, I'm listening to one of those
Mm-hmm.
while I'm working and getting some type of knowledge. The first book I would say though that like I read and I was like really taking notes, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
was Contagious by Jonah Berger. And I only read it because Nipsey Hussle mentioned it in the song.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay, like Nipsey, that's like my number one favorite rapper. So it's like for his business acumen and, independence. So I picked that up. That was one of the best books that I've read. And Tim Ferriss' 4 Hour Work Week is very, very good because it's very practical and it's still relatable today.
That's the one with the orange cover, right?
I can't remember what color.
I think so. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's like
the same
orange.
one.
It's like orange and
Palm
yellow or
trees.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's a good one.
Yeah. When it comes to like really leveraging productivity with like and automating and setting up systems for your business in a very practical way, like it's the
It's
best
a
one I've
must read.
found. Yeah, it's the best one that I've read. And like I did entrepreneurship and innovation at SFU. Like I did that certificate and I read all those books, and it doesn't beat that book. Like that book needs to be in that curriculum.
In that curriculum, yeah.
Yeah, that's like when it comes to anybody who's trying to scale, but they don't necessarily have the man hours or the money behind them to do it. He shows like a really good way to kind of growth hack anything you're doing.
Nice. Well, some good recommendations there.
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss, Mind Valley, that book, Grouped, Contagious, lots of good stuff. Check it out as well. Again, not sponsored by Audible by any means, but they've got some great. I listen to a lot of the stuff as well.
Yeah. What are your
Audible?
What are some of your books and podcasts?
Yeah, well, right now, I'm reading. I'm actually physically reading. I know.
I hear it's better.
I love it. I love it. Honestly, if I had to choose, I would prefer the actual physical book.
Yeah.
But right now, I just started earlier this. Well, not earlier this week, but earlier last week. Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's typical like foundational. Personal finance book, kind of, that kind of stuff. Made it a goal of mine later. Well, even when you and I were kind of working together this past summer, we were chatting a lot about that and kind of just getting into it and stuff like that. So wanted to get a little bit more quote unquote serious about my finances. So I told myself I would read it over the summer, and then that didn't happen. So now it's been postponed all the way till now. But I'm having a blast so far. I'm really enjoying it. Some good little tidbits there. I've read the 4 Hour Work Week as well, but I'm actually, once I finish this one right now, I'm going to reread it just because I feel like back then I was reading it, but I wasn't really like absorbing all the information that I should be.
Same. That was same with me when I first read it too. And then it's like, once I got to a certain level, I found myself like having to reference it to like, what can I do to make things work? And it's like, oh shit, I read that before.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I've seen that somewhere. Yeah. So that's on my list. And then I'm listening to currently right now, Deep Work by Cal Newport. Essentially. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. Great book.
Good. Yeah.
Good book on how to achieve your flow state, how to minimize distractions where, especially working from home right now in the situation where you're surrounded by distractions, whether it be if you live with, a partner, siblings, your folks, whoever it may be, there's people surrounding you. It's tough to find your workspace. Yeah. And then obviously distracted by, this wonderful thing, right? This wonderful thing. So wanting to get our dopamine fix and stuff like that. So that's a great book. And that again is, I think it has, I would say in terms of practicality, it's not all of it. There's a lot of theory behind it, but I definitely think there's tidbits that you can kind of take out and apply to just your day-to-day life, really. So wrapping that up right now. But after those two are done, I want to read, I forgot what it was called. I think it's called The Power of Habit. The Power of Habit, or something like that. Yeah. I've heard good things about that one. I'm not too sure what
I hear it's really good.
There is either. But
I think I think I did actually listen to an audiobook and I like read the thesis about it. But yeah, it really talks about just actually, I think I did. I think I did like a audiobook or audio summary of it. But it just talks about the power of compounding your habits and forming habits and stuff.
So yeah, similar to the deep work kind of stuff. But yeah, I think there's just so much out there, man. There really is a lot of free resources for the most part that really help you develop yourself, and things that unfortunately, as you mentioned, aren't necessarily taught in in a school environment, right? So
Definitely not.
I think that again could be another topic for a completely different episode. But
No, they're definitely not.
did you want to touch upon it a little bit? We still got some time.
I mean, I got the student loans to show it, man. But like, man, the biggest, like, it just kind of sucks because when you look at the model of university, it's research off of things that have been done already. And
Right.
It's by the time they've accomplished it already, and the people are willing to show what they did.
It's long gone.
Yeah, so it's like by the time we're dissecting the information, it may be about a decade old. As far as like when they first started experimenting with this knowledge of the companies, so it's not as up to speed as to what's going on today. And I think they say, like, when you look at technology, every 2 years you have to refresh yourself.
Yeah.
Every 2 years is something that completely shifts the paradigm. And unfortunately, and at least, well, I don't want to shit on SFU, but unfortunately, most business schools, or any school, when it's around communications, marketing, or business, they're playing catch up.
Oh, for sure.
And by time that or at least for me, with like doing kind of a clothing brand the non-traditional way, I had to like really, really, really pick and choose. But I feel like it wasn't until I realized that, okay, bro, just actually ask people advice that are where you want to be. That's actually what's pushed me further in every aspect, financially, business wise, marketing, everything, than any of the courses I took and spent all that money on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunately they're playing catch up when it comes to at least the age of the at home entrepreneur who can make 6 figures from their desk. Or 6 figures off social media. It's not caught up to that yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was having a coffee chat earlier with an individual who recently graduated from, not recently, within the last, let's say, I think it was 3 years. So relatively recently, from Sauder, from UBC's business school. And she was just telling me, like, after she graduated, she did a degree in marketing, and people were obviously, at the time, it's like digital marketing, right? It's traditional marketing is not necessarily fully obsolete, but more or less is, right? So
yeah, you better put your money, most of your money there.
So exactly. So she was, you get asked these questions. Have you ever run a Facebook ad? No. Have you ever done, any sort of, digital marketing? No. Well, okay. How do I do that? Right. And you're not getting taught in school. Obviously there's certain foundation and basics and principles that obviously carry over. And I'm not saying that everything is complete bogus and, that you're not going to learn anything, but if you're wanting to manage marketing department in almost any company now, you got to learn how to manage social media properly. You got to learn how to communicate with people. You got to learn, if you're doing paid advertisements or in that space, you got to figure out Facebook Ads Manager. Like, there's so many different things, Google Analytics, et cetera, that unfortunately, as you said, that we're just like society and, traditional institutions, I should say, are just playing catch up on with. And
it's crazy too, because like when Google first opened up Google Ads, Amazon was the number one spender. I think they still may be, actually. They advertised the most on Google Ads, and we weren't taught how to do Google Ads.
Josh, you're supposed to go door to door and hand a flyer and be like, "Hey guys, I'm selling my shirts."
You're supposed to cross the chasm and stuff. Get this market, then that market. Like, okay.
No, it's just a different ball game, and I think that's why a lot of these, online courses, and I'm not talking about Zoom University. I'm talking about like websites like Skillshare, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. You can go even the more structured and traditional routes, such as boot camps that we have here locally. We used to have Red Academy. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, they've closed down due to COVID.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they closed their Vancouver branch. I think the Toronto one's still operating, but their Vancouver branch closed down due to COVID. So that sucks. But they offered boot camps, obviously UI, UX. I believe.
Yeah,
they also did digital marketing as well, right?
Yeah, they had digital marketing too. Yeah.
But now you've got other things like Brain Station as well, similar to Red Academy, to my understanding. So all these different boot camps, courses, training, you name it, that literally, if you take those and you say, okay, now I want a job in, let's say again, digital marketing, you're probably going to be a lot more prepared and a lot more knowledge than if you were to do a 4-year degree in, solder. So
yeah, I think we're transitioning into the age where the entrepreneur is the professor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just from what I've studied and talked to people, there's businesses who are completely transitioning to educational assets and selling that versus client work. Like the Future.com, I spoke with their second in charge, and he said they're actually converting. They're gonna like pass off all their client work and fully focus on educational material and just selling that because it's so much more profitable for them.
Yeah, selling courses, just all that kind of stuff. And if you know what you're talking about and you can present it in an easily digestible way and you're personable, hey, people will come to you. But we'll leave that one for now. But yeah, I think it's obviously again with COVID that's going on right now. It's an even more rapid changing world that we live in, and technology is at the forefront of that. Whether people like it or not, it is.
Yeah, whether like it or not, yeah.
So, all right, Josh, we're nearing the end of the episode here, and this is always the question that I kind of wrap it up here with my guests, and let's kind of just go right into it here. In terms of your younger self, what piece of advice would you give to younger Josh, and what would it be and why?
Younger Josh, it would definitely. It's a few things, man. I ain't gonna shit, bro.
You need to get his shit together, man.
Because it's like I was always, focused and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was always a self-driven person. I was never peer pressured and shit. I think it was more so like self-esteem, as a child, like we all go through and shit. You know? And I used to like tell myself like, oh, you need like these people to like you, or you need to get around these people or have this for like you to be successful and all that stuff. And and then you meet these people or you become acquainted with these people. And then, once that relationship runs its course, you look back and like, bro, I didn't learn shit. Like, what I mean?
What value did they provide me?
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because like I do therapy like every Tuesday. And I remember even like the same thing with like I was talking to my therapist, like I was even at this point where like I didn't grow up with my biological dad. Like my parents got divorced when I was like 1 and that moved, so I've never seen him like since then, just like Facebook here and there. But it was like I remember like when I was reaching like my 20s going to adulthood, I was like, I need to form a relationship with him type thing. And then I meet him and I talk to him like nah, I don't need that shit. Like it's whatever. Like, hey, it's whatever, bro. Like, and it's the same thing though with every other time I've met, like I've held that perspective. It's like, yeah, man, I got to get next to this person or meet this person, then I'm gonna take off type shit. And it's like, no, you actually don't, man. Like you actually have like everything you need, already. I would have told myself that. And then the other thing I would have definitely told myself is just like really focus on being successful versus trying to look successful or be cool, or validated. Because it's just smarter to do it and it's way more productive and rewarding.
Yeah.
I really was like under the impression, unfortunately, like influenced by like hip hop culture at the time, which is a lot of like flashy fake shit going on behind the scenes. Everything's rented. All the girls are rented. The jewelry's rented. Jewelry's fake sometimes. Most of the time, they don't own their music. They're actually not rich.
That's not their Lambo.
Yeah. And, like as a child, seeing that, and that's like what everybody's idolizing and thinking successful is like, oh, fuck. So if I get the Michelin S throwback jersey or the Jordans, like, oh, like, so then I can be successful if I have all that stuff. And I used to think that. Like, I really used to think that. And
Mhm.
even when like I would have certain people work with me with the brand and stuff, they would think that too. And it's like, no, man, like, okay, yes, be cool, make people like the brand, all that shit. But like, if you're putting more energy into that than actually being successful, like actually making sure the numbers add up, you're gonna fail eventually. And I learned that the hard way, and I think that's really what's taken me so long to start to be able to do this full time. It's like, bro, like I made, and I'm full. If I bring up money or numbers, it's because I try to be fully transparent with people,
Right.
so they know like I'm not bullshitting. But it's like, once I like, there was a time where my team was as big as 15 people, and then like everybody started to leave and stuff, and then I just kind of went into my own. But kind of, just started to think about and re-look at what's important, what's not important. And it's like, bro, I made more money in like 3 to 4 months than I made 2018 and 2019 combined,
Wow.
just by making that mindset shift of
Yeah.
like, focus on what works versus trying to look cool and all that shit and thinking that's going to bring money. And actually, like, when you do talk to people, actually like talk to people that are where you want to be, or that
Mhm.
they've already accomplished this. And most of the time, or at least from my experience, is usually the least flashiest person like that's doing what you're doing, and they're successful, but they don't feel the need to like have everybody know
Yeah.
and
Put it
stuff.
in your face kind of thing.
Yeah, like one of the people that, even the guy that taught me about like him, doing influencer marketing, kind of getting a return on investment from it. Like, I'd known him for about 4 months before I finally approached him and like, yo, like, how do you do this? And he
Mhm.
taught me, and then like, boom. And it's like, yeah, that's so huge, because it's like I had all these people around me, and it's like, now it's just me, and I found a way to do this full time and make a lot more money than I made 2018 combined, bro. So it's like, just I'm at the stage now where it's kind of a remodeling, okay, how to manage it and sustain it and continue to grow it. Like,
Mhm.
who's the next person I need to get advice from? Like, I ask myself stuff like that these days.
Yeah, it's all about the mindset shift, man, and I really think that a lot of people are starting to realize that. And again, when it comes to all the stuff that's out there in the media, online, and stuff like that, you can get, as the saying goes, at least I think this is a saying, you get lost in the sauce, kind of
Yeah,
thing, right? Yeah.
facts. Yeah, facts.
So people are, just trying to catch up to the next person, and as you mentioned, when can I get, or how can I get to this guy's level of success or this person's level of success? I'm replicating it. Why am I not there? And you just get lost in that kind of chase, and you forget really why you're doing things. And at the end of the day, you're not even growing because you're so busy trying to put your energy and your time in things that are not going to help you succeed. Right. So I'm
Yeah.
really happy to hear that's going well for you. And that mindset shift has allowed you to scale and even grow even more than you've done in the 2018, 2019 combined. That's huge.
Yeah, man. And it's like, I think in those years too, like, we were pretty well known, like, locally and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, I think if somebody didn't know me at all, and they at least knew of the brand in Vancouver 2018, 2019, they will probably think I'm doing worse off now, based on like the perception or how much we're doing like stuff at clubs and stuff, when it's like,
Yeah.
little do you know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Mr. Worldwide now, man. You're
yeah,
Pitbull.
I feel like it's like, I guess, to simplify the message, like, fall in love with the behind the scenes, not what's in front of you, like the perception. Fall in love with
Yeah.
what's behind the scenes, not the perception. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that, man. I love that a lot. I still got the sticker on my laptop, the
I
move in
appreciate
silence sticker, man. Yeah, I still got that.
it. I got to make some new stickers. Actually, I ran out.
All right. We'll look forward to that. But thank you again, Josh. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your message and your story. A lot of great insight, really. And I think for a lot of people that I don't even think this one has to even be like clothing specific. I think there's a lot of stuff that we covered in terms of entrepreneurship. Finding yourself in a different place and stuff like that. And I'm sure a lot of people can really relate with the message and everything. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. But before I let you go, you do, as a wonderful part about being on this show, you do get your shout out time. So if there's anything that you want to say, Whether it be you want to shout out anyone, or where can people find you? This next 30 seconds are yours. Go for it.
Yeah, man, definitely shout out to everybody that supported the journey of Frontrunners, all the runners out there, whether you liked the photo, commented, shared, bought, like, man, like, for real, that shit really kept me going even when shit was looking bad. Shout out to you guys. Definitely shout out to my family, everybody back home, the Vancouver community that supported. And also shout out to like all the people that are still grinding, even though there's nothing in sight that looks like it's gonna work, but you're still grinding for some weird ass reason. Like, I was there the majority of my life, man. And it's like, those are the people that, like, I feel it's important to be so transparent for, because had it not been for, like, I don't know, just me having that mind to keep going, like, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably be doing some shit I don't like doing, and it's like, I don't know. I'm not really, the goal isn't to, get recognized by all these big famous people. It's more so to, like, reach the like-minded people. And I know there's so many people in that stage where it's like, bro, there's nothing, like, I don't see any way how this shit's going to work. But for some reason, something calls them to keep going. And it's like, shout out to y'all, man. Definitely.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. And if people want to obviously check out, your website as well, Frontrvnners, the U is spelled with a V.
Yeah, thank you.
Just as a heads up for everyone. But I think do you know, actually off the top of your head, if you search up Frontrunner spelled regularly, does yours
I gotta check on incognito mode.
Yeah, because you're definitely gonna get that.
Yeah, I gotta check actually. Let me see.
I'm curious actually now that I mention it.
Yeah, I know, like, if you like search Vancouver streetwear, we pop up first. But I don't know if it's like on the first page or I don't think we pop up on the first page if you type it regularly, because I guess, like, there's also like a running group thing called, like, Frontrunner spelled regular. That's what you see pop up more. But I'm actually gonna need to pay some SEO people to
do some SEO experts there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get them to do that for me.
Regardless, we'll have the links in the bottom of the podcast description. If you search up Frontrunners on Instagram, you'll see it there.
I think if you type, like, Frontrunners clothing,
I
hope it pops up right.
I hope it pops up. Fingers.
Yeah, it'll pop up first if you type Frontrunners.
There you go.
Yeah, we're number one for that, for sure.
You'll have a link either or as a way to see what's going on there. And thank you again, man. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you taking your time. Hopefully you enjoyed as well. I think this is your second podcast. I've seen you do some other podcasts.
I've definitely done a few. I've done a few. I don't really keep count. I'm not sure. But I've definitely done a few. Just like randomly will be hit up sometimes. Yeah. This is like, I always want to leave breadcrumbs for anybody, like, that's on this journey or doing the same exact thing as me, or like my later, like, siblings down the line, like, I want them to be able to see and learn something. So yeah, I've done a few though. I don't know how many, but yeah, it's been a few.
Sounds good. Yeah, man. Got to leave the evergreen content. That'll always stay online. But thank you, Josh. Thank you to all our listeners as well. You guys have been killing it so far in our first episode of season 2 with James and Ken from Cloud Athletics. You guys killed it with the numbers. So thank you again. I really do appreciate it. Same as Josh. It helps me kind of keep going and pushes me to deliver more and more content and more people for you to listen to and get on the show here. So I really do appreciate it. If you've ever shared it or even tuned in.
Yeah, I definitely will share. Yeah, man. No, just thank you though for having me. I know it's very rare that you get people around you to, like, really support and put you on a platform and stuff. So even though that's the right thing to do, is how it should be, I definitely don't take it for granted, man. And
it's a rare breed out here in Vancouver, right? So
yeah, man. So, like, I definitely, I'm humble, to be on here on your platform. I really appreciate it and all the work you're doing. Like, I'm very, very grateful for this, man. I appreciate it and thank you.
Anytime, man. You're welcome back anytime. And thank you again, everyone. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day, or if you're listening to this at night, have a good rest of your night. And we'll catch you on the next episode, and take care. Adios.